When I was a kid, I remember my dad had this friend who called him over because he needed some help with his computer. And my dad was this computer genius. I remember he was my dad's mashallah so smart. He just knew everything about everything. So like his friends would like ask him to like help him with shit that I remember my dad's friend called him over and he was like, "Hey, I need some help with my computer." And I remember my dad and I went over to his house, and the issue that he had with his computer was that his the icons on his desktop were too big, and he couldn't figure out a way to like make them small. I remember back then thinking, "What a fucking dumbass, man!" Like this is a simple problem. This is what like astaghfirullah, which is really astaghfirullah, not a good way to look at things, right? But what I'm trying to say is that I was a piece of shit when I was a kid. And watching my dad and my mom be nice people to their friends and help them out kind of changed me and turned me into this type of person where I like to help people. Where I would I'm not like that anymore. Is what I'm trying to say. I'm not if someone asks me for help, even if it's something simple, I don't go like, "Oh my god, what a dumbass," Like I did when back then, which is really messed up. I should not have done that, obviously. I was a kid, but as an adult, alhamdulillah, I've had great role models in my life that have turned me into a person. I'm not the best. I'm not like the nicest guy in the world. I could be a terrible human being, which is I'm not proud of it, but like, I'm human, I have flaws. But alhamdulillah, what I'm trying to say is I had good role models, and that's what kind of like molded me into the person that I am today. And I'm nowhere near as nice as my parents, or because they're just mashallah the saints compared to me. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes when I see people, and today, like sometimes when I see people just be like just be terrible people, just terrible human beings, I just can't help but think like, wow, dude, this person did not have good role models in his life or in her life. You know what I mean? Like, I knew this person who just talk mad shit about everybody, anybody and everybody. And like she was a sweet person, like from within, like deep down inside, but like she had nothing but negative things to say about people. And I then like kind of got to know her, and then I like I understood like the type of environment that she grew up in is what turned her into what she is, you know. And what I'm trying to say is that you know you could change, you know. You could be a terrible person one day, and then I feel like it's like a muscle. Like you can be a good person. You just have to like kind of work on it, because that's all you know right now, right? Being mean, being rude, being judgmental. But if you practice being nice or try to be more positive, it's I feel like it will do you wonders. You know what I mean? It will literally just change your outlook on life. You will be less pissy. You will probably not hate yourself as much. But you know what I mean? Because like a lot of times when we're judgmental or rude, it's how it's how we perceive, it's how we think everybody looks at us, you know? And but I mean, what I'm trying to say is that we think that the way we look at people is the same way they look at us. And if you change that and kind of are nicer to people or do nice things for people or go out of your way to help strangers, I feel like that's not a very that's a good path to go on. And that's not a very I mean, it is not the easiest thing to do, I'm sure, but it's not impossible is what I'm trying to say. And like I see my cousins and they're so mean, dude. They say the fun. Okay, my cousins are hilariously mean. They're bullies, but they're generally really nice people. Like they would go out of their way to help people. And I don't know. That's something that I feel like I can work on myself. Obviously, I don't think I'm like the nicest person. A lot of times, I can be really rude. I can say hurtful things. I usually have very mean thoughts, which is a really not nice thing to do. If I see someone who looks like a nerd, in my head I'll be like, look at this freaking nerd. You know what I mean? Which is not a good thing, you know? Or if I see like someone who's just, okay, I'm not gonna give examples of how terrible I can be. I'm just saying it's not a good way to live. And the reason why I'm putting this out there is because it's something that I feel like I'm actively working on constantly. I've always tried to do that. I'm not there yet. I don't think I'll ever get there. Like, nobody's 100%. There's always room for improvement. But I'm trying to say is that it's not an impossible thing to do. If you're a terrible person, or if you know that you're a terrible person, if you think you're a terrible person, try to work on yourself, dude. Get some help. No, I'm kidding. Just try it. Just, every day, just be nice to someone. Just smile at someone. Dude, remember when I was a kid? Okay, dude, this is so terrible, dude. I remember when I was a kid, like there was this girl in my class, and she smiled at me, and I remember I didn't smile back. I remember I was just like, bitch. I was like, it was. I still regret that to this day. I was like, I wish I had smiled back. I still think I don't know, it's just a stupid thing, but in my head, I'm like, dude, I wish I had smiled back. Because what a mean thing to do, you know? And do you know how many people I've called fat when I was a kid? You know how many people I've made fun of for, like, being, like, stupid or, like, I've, like, I don't know, man. It's just, when I look back at my life, I'm glad I have changed, for the better. Hopefully, inshallah. But, like, because, okay, but then again, I was like that because kids in school were very mean to me. See, there's always, like, a reason. I wasn't born a piece of shit. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't have friends up till, like, 7th, 8th grade, dude. And then my school shut down, thankfully. What a piece of shit school that was, with piece of shit teachers. But my school changed, my environment changed, and all of a sudden everybody was really nice to me, and I was like, whoa, this is weird. People, like, were, like, friendly to me. And then I just, changed. And everybody, like, I don't know, it was just such a weird transition. It was like I went from being a kid who was, like, completely hated by his classmates and everybody around him to, like, everybody loved me in school, everybody wanted to be my friend. And then I became student council president, and then it was like, what the hell? Like, my life changed just because, like, the people around me were, like, nicer to me. But what I'm trying to say is that, even if people around you are not nice, even if your parents are mean to you, even if your parents are pieces of shits, even if, like, you live in an environment where people are, like, rude to each other or rude to you or look down upon you or belittle you, try to do better. Try to be better. And because I really regret not smiling back at that girl. Because I remember it was right after my school had shut down and I moved to this new school, right? And then, like, she smiled at me, and I was just so not used to it, And I don't know why. Sometimes I kind of think about it. I'm like, dude, maybe I should, like, hit her up and be like, hey, remember that one time? And she probably does not remember at all. Because she's so used to, I don't know, she was just like a normal person. But I don't know, it just messes with my head sometimes. Which is it's silly. It is silly, but I don't know. It's just my natural, like, human brain that kind of, like, it just irks me. I wish I can go back in time and smile back, But yeah. Try to do better. Try to be better. I remember when, like, I used to watch Ellen when I was a kid. It was just so funny because Ellen was such a piece of shit. But I remember at the end of her episode, she'd be like, "Be kind to one another," and then, like, she was like, microwaving hamsters and, like, backstage or whatever. She was really mean. She was, like, throwing knives at her, like, interns. I don't know what she was hated. I don't know why, man. She, like, people, like, shut her down. People hate her a lot now. But I watched a little bit of her special. I don't know why. Why did I watch her? Why did I watch Ellen DeGeneres' special? Okay, whatever. And it was like just cringe fest. Okay, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that be kind to one another, but not the Ellen way. Like generally be nice to each other. And maybe if you have a neighbor that that you've never spoken to, say hello to them. Wave at them, be like hi. Or I don't know, man. Go volunteer somewhere. I don't volunteer for anything. I'm just saying you should be nice. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna volunteer for something. I'm gonna, I'm gonna try to volunteer for something. And yeah, yeah. You know why this topic came to my head? Because like today, it was early in the morning. Okay, it wasn't early in the morning. It was like it was noon. Noon is early in the morning for me now. I went to go out to get like some food for my family. They wanted some like I don't know samosa and jalebi, dude. They wanted samosa and jalebi for breakfast. How unhealthy. However, doesn't matter. And I saw this little girl, and she was like, I guess I don't know. She was one of those like kids who like she was one of those like homeless kids, I guess. And then she asked the guy at the store for like a samosa, and he like was so mean to her, dude. He was like, I don't know. He was just like, "Chal nikal yahan se," like like he's basically like GTFO, you know. And like that, I don't know. It just broke my heart a little bit. I was just like, dude, he's like 5 years old. She's just asking for her. So I know like it just really made me really it kind of ruined my day. It really made me sad. And I know I'm laughing right now because I don't know I'm but it's just I laugh at like awkward times, and it just really made me sad. And yeah, okay. Regardless, is what I'm trying to say is just try to be nice to each other. Try to be nice to kids, especially, man. They're like so masum. Kids are so innocent, dog. They haven't seen shit. They're like they're just so innocent. Kids are like the only pure thing in this world. They're so innocent, and so I don't know. I know a lot of people hate kids. They're like, oh, I hate kids. Oh, I don't want to have kids. I hate kids. Like, shut the hell up, dude. You know, like it's just like don't have them. I'm just saying, just they're just I don't know. I know they can be annoying or whatever, but it's just they're still innocent. They didn't choose to be the way they are. They're still learning. They're still figuring things out. You know what I mean? Okay, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is be nice to each other. Be kind, use smart, use important. I don't know what movies that I don't know what movie that's from, but like it's always stuck in my head. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to say. That's all I want to put out there. Uh, I'll catch you guys soon. I haven't posted in a hot minute, but yeah, here I am posting again. I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. If you guys, liked my yapping, like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. Much love.